There we go. Okay, so welcome to the second part of our Business Witchery series. The first part, if you missed it, you can watch the replay, and anybody who's watching this on the replay, make sure you check your email as I sent out the replay link to you, and I'll, of course, include it in. I like to put the replays, all of them in the email. So you could look in the replay email with this replay also if you're watching on the replay, and you should have the link there too. So the first thing we talked about was 5 things business owners do that prevent them from making progress. So this series, it's a little different than some other business building series in that I'm hoping to help you think of creating your business in a different way. And so many people come to me, and so many people that I know and hi Nicole, in the real world that are looking at being business owners, or maybe starting a business, wanting to quit their job to work for themselves. They have common things that get in the way of being successful. So this series we're talking about is really about giving you the tools to help you to look at your situation differently and not do the things that are going to hold you back. So I also want to say that I have a unique experience in the world of self-employment. I've been self-employed for a while now. My husband he is technically self-employed. He's more of a house husband, stay-at-home dad these days. But he is an example of a person who has been self-employed, but is really terrible at being self-employed. He does like all these things that I talk about, 5 things that prevent people from making progress, the things that I'm going to talk about today, 3 things that I did to grow a 6-figure business quickly. He doesn't do any of them. And so he really struggled with being self-employed. And even though he was self-employed, he was finding himself contracting himself out to other self-employed people all the time in order to make money and find work. So self-employment, I see it from both ways. I actively see somebody who struggles with it. I see people in my business class that struggle with different areas of it. And I myself struggle with some areas. So we'll talk about the 3 things I did today, though, that really helped me out. And I think if everybody does kind of similar things, you're going to help yourself out too. If you're keeping up with our time tracking challenge, I will send an email over the weekend giving you a place if you want to submit your tracker to me, and I'll pick 3 people that participate. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. I'll just pick 3 random people that participate to win a prize from us. And I will, at the end of the week, share my roundup, too, from this week, what my week looks like, which you'll see involves a lot of child minding. I do an exceptional amount of parenting for a business owner. I feel like I'm always like, I just need a nanny to be with me. Then I never, I know that I parent a lot, but I never realized how much I actually parent until I was tracking it. I'm like, wow, I'm like all hands on deck all the time. So Cheyenne had to fill it out and spilled coffee on it. Oh, it's okay. You can probably see through it maybe, or start a new one. All right, let's get to today. So today we're talking 3 things I did to grow my 6-figure business quickly. So I guess I'm gonna sidestep real quick again before we get into it. When somebody says they have a 6-figure business, that's like the glory thing that we look for in a business. I successfully made $100,000 in a year, and that's awesome. But let me tell you that people making $100,000 in a year does not mean they have $100,000. So I know plenty of business owners that make $100,000 in their first year, but make $0 because they put it all back in the business with advertising, hiring staff to get the business going. I will say that with the Sisters Enchanted, that's my home-based business, which many of you here are from the Sisters Enchanted. I see familiar faces. We make multiple 6 figures in a year now, but I'm certainly not driving a Lamborghini and living in a penthouse beach apartment. That's not the case at all. Running a business, a successful business, costs money. So when we say this, that's awesome. And yes, there is profitable. I'm able to support my family. But when you say that there's a 6-figure business, you also have 6-figure expenses that come with a 6-figure business. So bear that in mind. When you hear anybody ever, including myself, talk about having a 6-figure business, and you're looking at your own plan for a 6-figure business, keep in mind, what are my 6-figure expenses that come with that business? And as the business grows, the expenses grow. So that is all things to just bear in mind. And I always want to be fully honest with that to people and not give you any kind of false perception of like, oh, you can have a $100,000 a year business, a $300,000 a year business, a $500,000 a year business, and like all your problems are solved, because then there's more taxes and there's more expenses with hiring help, and there's more advertising money. And I'll say it again, more taxes. It takes like lots of your money. So there is more and more that goes with that. So always keep that in mind when you hear anybody talking about their success in business. There is the practical side to it as well. Okay, let's get into what I did though to get to that mark, which did allow me to exit the business that I really did not like doing, and allowed my husband to be a stay-at-home dad instead of contracting himself out to other people, which he didn't like doing. All right, I'm going to share my screen. You guys are going to see my 800 million open tabs. Is my screen? There it goes. I'm the tab queen. Okay, it's like my ADHD brain in computer form. All right, so 3 things I did to grow a profitable business quickly. We hit the $100,000 mark at the Sisters Enchanted in about 18 months, a little less, maybe like 16 months, in there 16 to 18 months. And for, I don't know, about half of that time, I worked both my other business and the Sisters Enchanted, and was home with my toddler during the day and pregnant with number 2. So I did this pretty much at night and in my spare time. So it is doable, but here's what I did to make it happen. Firstly, who am I? And I didn't update this slide, but I'm Sarah, the founder and head magic maker at the Sisters Enchanted. That's my home base. I also have the Society of Business Witchery, which is my other project. I'm the former owner of Shoreline Academic Coaching, where I worked with families with kids with learning differences on homeschool curriculum to try to get kids back into school who've been pulled out, educational advocacy, and tutoring for executive functioning skills and all sorts of cool, nerdy things like that. I have 16 years marketing experience now. I was trained by the best of the best, by the #1 candy manufacturer and seller in the US. We actually have now 35,000 email subscribers, which I like to use that as a number that I share because I don't think enough people focus on growing their email lists. And I will say that's like, it is the underlying like exclamation point, highlight, the thing you need to focus on every single day. In 2018, we were able to double our revenue over 2017. And by request of the Sisters Enchanted community, I developed a business witchery class, which turned into the Society of Business Witchery to help other people grow their own businesses as well. So speaking of the Society of Business Witchery, if you ever want to join us, you get a cool Boss Witch cup as a thank you gift. I give out prizes for challenges now and then to our members. You see here just some cool things people say that they love the group. We have people running successful ad campaigns, making money, building their email list, selling courses, doing services, opening physical locations, like all kinds of really cool stuff happening in there. So why are we talking about the 3 things that I did to grow a profitable business? I already sort of chatted about this in the beginning, but there are certain kind of behaviors that you have to adopt to have a successful business. Now, success looks different to every person. When I started the Sisters Enchanted, I wanted to make $60,000 a year with the idea that I would bring home about $35,000 to $40,000 of that and just be enough money to stop doing my education business. I just did not want to do that. That was my only goal. So for you, success might look like that. It might look like, whatever it looks like. But there are, regardless of what your idea of success is, there are some things you have to do to make that happen. And we're going to talk about what I found works for me. And this is also from working with we've had over 100 students in my previous business class. And then again, my husband, I use as a personal example of somebody who's not a great entrepreneur. My sister's laughing at that. And I see what people don't do. And I think that the 3 things I did are definitely useful for people to do or to start doing. So what to do with this information, think on it and try to see what feels good for you. So some things you might be like, well, it really absolutely wouldn't work in my life. I challenge you to challenge yourself on it and say like, well, how can I try some of these things? But use it, and that's how you're going to get the best out of it. Do you have any questions or comments along the way? I know we have a small crowd today. Feel free to just go in the chat box, or if you want me to help you, like if something brings up an idea for your business or a question, definitely let me know. I love to brainstorm and I love to chat, and at the end we can do that also, and throughout. All right, so the first thing that I did to grow my business, oh no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I lost, somebody chatted and then I can't find the chat box isn't there. Oh, here we go. Oh, so Cheyenne's asking about email. All right, Cheyenne, I'll answer that for you for sure. Okay, so the number one thing in the meantime, before we get back to that part, that I did was start before I was ready. And this is something that I see people think and they hem and haw about a business forever and ever. And they're like, I can't do it because of 100 reasons. I can't do it because of money. I can't do it because I don't have this tool. I can't do it because I don't have this exact like $10,000 coaching license that I've taken yet thing. I can't do it because whatever. And I think that sometimes those are very valid points, but there's always, I have yet to have somebody give me an example of something that couldn't be solved in terms of not being ready. And yeah, so start before you're ready. And an example of this, I'll just throw my husband under the bus today. I wish he was here to defend himself. Actually, I don't, because then he'd argue with me. But an example for him, he is a home remodeling contractor. He wants to buy and sell properties and things like that. And he's amazing at what he does. He's built $1 million kitchens in the Hamptons for people, but he's not a great business owner. And he's like, well, I just can't afford to buy a house in this area, whatever. And so we've found solutions of like smaller things you could buy and flip and save money to buy the bigger things, right? So there's always a way, but you have to be flexible in that. And I see such good questions coming in, so I'll definitely get to those. Okay, so when I started The Sisters Enchanted, I had a DIY website. I have no tech background. I was an English major in college, and then my master's degree is in education. They do not teach you how to build websites in either of those programs. Surprise, surprise. Plus, I'm of the age where computers were the norm for us, but also not everybody grew up on a computer. Like we didn't use them as children. And then in high school, like you could still hand in a handwritten piece of paper as an essay. So it wasn't, I don't have tech skills, but I found some YouTube videos, some tutorials, and I DIY'd my own website. And 3 years later, our website is the same as the one that I built 3 years ago by myself. And I only just now have tech people coming in to fix it and make it professional. So you can definitely start without a $2,000 website build out by somebody or a $10,000 one. You can figure it out with YouTube videos. I almost promise you that with the right support, you can figure it out. Having nothing to sell. When I started The Sisters Enchanted, we had nothing to sell. I made conscious content though. I asked questions and I created what we sold based on conversation that we had with the audience we were building. And I had no audience when I started The Sisters Enchanted. I think that some people have some like preconceived or idea that perhaps I already had like Instagram or Facebook following or had been working on it or something. It was literally zero. Nobody knew who we were, and it was completely unrelated to my other business. So I did not use that at all to get this one started. But I started before I was ready and just dove in and I didn't waver, and I also was consistent. So even though I didn't have, like everything figured out, I didn't have any classes to sell, anything like that, I showed up every day with an idea, with a thought. I talked to people in other Facebook groups. I started running ads to build an audience based on what I thought that people might like and what I was interested in selling and talking about. And then I quickly pivoted when I realized like, oh, it's a little different. And yeah, but I just totally started before I was ready. So something I hear a lot from people is, I don't have a website. I don't have an idea. I don't have an email list building freebie thing. I don't have a class. I don't even know what I would teach. And I think that it's time wasted to wait for those things, because this kind of goes back to what we talked about the other day around perfectionism. you don't really know what people want until you talk to people. And until you're getting in front of people, you have nobody to talk to. So when you start your talking as your business, so whether you make physical products, I know we have a lot of makers in our community, you don't actually know what people want until you're able to talk to them. And when you talk to them as your business self, like, oh, I make candles, even though you don't have them for sale yet, you can, I'm a candle maker. Tell me what you want in candles. Tell me what you would love to see, what you don't like about the ones you buy now. And yeah, get to talking people as your business. So start before you're ready. 100,000% start before you're ready. Otherwise, you will be stuck in that perfectionism thing, and you will never get out of it, and you'll never get going. If you wait till you're ready, you're never going to be ready. I'm still not ready. Ask Anna. She'll tell you. I'm still entirely not ready. Just start before you're ready. The second thing that I did, which is like kind of controversial, and people are like, yeah, but you need self-care time. And I agree, you do need self-care time. But when you're starting a business, you have to sacrifice somewhere. And if you have a family to take care of, and if you have a job you have to go to make money to support that family, then some of your self-care time is going to be what goes. And so the second thing that I did was broke up with Netflix, which I love to say you have to break up with Netflix. And so for you though, this will be whatever your time wasting poison is. If that is playing video games, if it is watching YouTube, if it is scrapbooking all night long, watching Netflix, whatever it is, you need to put that thing aside. And I know this is controversial because we live in this age of like taking care of oneself and having downtime. And I completely think that that is necessary. And we also live in this time where we have a lot of people telling us like, making a business should be easy. We can manifest it. It's all about your energy. And of course, like I also agree with that in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, bottom line, unless you get an influx of a lot of money somehow, or somebody funds your startup, you are going to have to hustle. You are just going to have to hustle. And I think when it comes to this discussion around energy, and we attract what we put out there, and making a business that feels easy to us, I think that when we show the universe that we're willing to do what it takes, that's when we get that ease in return to us, right? It starts to flow to us more easily. It's like, you know what, you broke down all the walls we put in front of you, and now we're going to reward you for that. But yeah, there is a certain amount of hustle that goes into anything, and you really have to prioritize. So if you're like, no matter what, I need a half an hour of yoga, I need a half an hour of scrapbooking, I need a half an hour of gaming, that is fine. Schedule that in and do it after you've done your business building. If you're like, I'm just going to watch this one episode, I'm just going to play this one game, I'm going to watch this one YouTube video, I'm just going to relax for half an hour, there is a very high chance that you are never going to get to the thing that you need to do to get your business under control. So prioritize that as a thing. You have to let something go to make room for something new. That's always the case. 100% of the time, that's the case. So break up with Netflix. And you're going to have to hustle a little bit. So ask yourself, and this is part of why this time tracker is so cool, because you can see where you are wasting a lot of time. And you can see where you can put in some work time. And I hear a lot from people that are like, I just don't have time. I seem to get distracted. Like I didn't do anything for the last 3 weeks, and that is how you're never going to be successful. So you really have to, whatever your time suck is, we all have time sucks, identify it and move past it. I will say that I spend very little time on social media for fun. Because there's really nothing I do on social media for fun. I have a few Facebook groups that I'm in, that I'm part of classes or communities myself. I go to those groups, I chat with those people, and then I get off Facebook. The same with Instagram. I don't really go on it much because I find if I go on there, I never get off, right? So you got to break up with Netflix and hustle to get your business moving. The third thing that I did to create a profitable business quickly, made a plan and set goals. And I see this all the time, all the time. I was just talking to Anna about this. People having really no good plan. Like their plan is to offer a class or offer a product. Like that's the plan. And that is not a plan. That's just like a thing. I don't know. That's a decision. That's an end goal. It's not a plan. It's not even a goal. It's just a thing that you will do. But you need to know how much money you need to make exactly. If you need to make $3,000 a month, exactly how are you going to do that? And then figure in expenses to get there. So then really, if it's going to cost you $1,500 to make $3,000, then you need to make $4,500 so you can get those expenses wiped away and have the $3,000 you need to make. So how much money do you need to make? How much is it going to cost you to make that? And then exactly how much do you need to make? Once you know what that number is, you can make a plan to get there. So get out a calendar, set number goals, and make it happen. If you need to make that $4,500 in a month, you can divide that up by weeks. You can divide that up however you want. Divide it up by how much your products cost, how much your services cost, how many people then do you need to get to buy those things. If you need to get 20 people, then you probably need to get in front of 200 people to get those 20 people to buy. And actually that would be really high. So you would need to get in front of like 400 to 500 people to get 20 people to buy is actually a more realistic number, like 500. I'm doing math fast in my head. I think 500 would be like the number I would recommend. If you said you needed 20 people to buy your thing, I would tell you to get in front of 500 people. So you need to look at exactly how much money you need to make, how you're going to do that with whatever it is that you offer. And like in the example of my contractor husband, if he needed to, say he needed to make $5,000 in a month and he needed to do one bathroom remodel, to do that, the bathroom remodel would probably have to be $10,000 for him to make $5,000. So I guess that's not, I don't know, the bathrooms around here, they do cost that much money. Things are freaking expensive where I live. Anyway, I digress. And then like how many proposals, how many houses would he have to go to? How many quotes would he have to do? How much networking would he have to do in order to get in front of a person to do that one bathroom, right? And that's how he would look at that. For us at the Sisters Enchanted, if we need, our numbers now are pretty large, we need to hit to cover all of the Sisters Enchanted expenses. So if we needed to do, like X amount of money, for us, typically that's like, okay, well, we need 6,000 people to see this email for us to do this amount that we need to do. And then we put it on the calendar. So how are we going to do that? For 2 weeks, we are going to generate new leads on our email list. For 2 weeks, we're going to talk to them. And then for 1 week, we are going to offer. And it all goes on the calendar, how many people are going to go through each thing, and what we're going to do always as kind of a plan B. How are we going to, what's our pivot point? Where can we alternate, like move to get things in? And this is something that I've done since the very, 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 very beginning, from when we sold probably our second or third offering on. I started really looking at numbers and was like, if I'm going to spend $1,000 on advertising, that means I have to make at least $1,000 not to go in the negative. So how many do I need to sell to make $1,000 to not go negative? For me, I had my other business income when we started the Sisters Enchanted, so I was all about breaking even. I just didn't want to go negative. So I looked at we had very few monthly expenses at that time, and I just made sure I didn't go negative. So I was essentially working for free for about 6 months, but a year after that 6-month mark, we, really started to knock it out of the park. So for about 6 months, I worked for free, making sure I just broke even, which is really important to not be negative. So those are the 3 things I did. It's a quick presentation for you today. The first one, starting before I was ready. The second one was, I'll stop sharing and we'll get to some questions here. And second one, break up with Netflix. And then the third one, I'm not still sharing, right? Yeah, I don't think so. The third one was making the plan. All right, it's got me all messed up. I lost my Zoom and running with it. All right, so let's look at some questions and things here because I see there's so many good ones. So Cheyenne is asking how we make an email listing. So how to create your email list. That's a little bit for me to answer in this email here, or this video, but you need some kind of service. So there's a bunch of inexpensive ones people use. One we use is $300 a month. So I wouldn't, if you're brand new, and it's more with every email you send. So ours ends up costing about $600 or $700 a month. But you can use like MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, or Aweber, they're called. Those 3 solutions are what most people that are new use MailChimp. And what that does is it collects email addresses for you. it doesn't collect them just for you. It's where it kind of houses your email addresses, and you can send newsletter emails and things like that to people. So once you have that software, you can then create one of those sign up pages that says sign up here for this thing, and then they put in their email address and they get the thing, and then you have the email address. So that starts with software, Cheyenne, that you would need. Nicole says, do you ever have moments where you doubted your business when you started, where you wondered if you should keep going or move on from what you're doing next or what you're doing? Yes, I still have that like every day. So when I started my education business, I was constantly doubted myself, because I had previously worked for another small business owner doing what I did. And when I worked for somebody else, it was really easy to be like, to just do what she said. You know, she'd say, okay, we're going to offer the service, we're going to do this thing. And there was always somebody else kind of to be like the blame holder or the face, right? When it was my face and people would ask me, do you offer this service? Do you teach this student? Do you do this thing? And one thing that comes with starting before you're ready is saying yes to every opportunity that comes your way in the beginning, even if, unless it's like completely the wrong thing. Like if somebody had asked me if I could teach somebody like a really like low functioning autism, like that wasn't something that I would have been skilled in. I'm not an occupational therapist. I'm not a speech therapist. That would have been outside of my wheelhouse completely. But if somebody came to me and was like, can we work on dyslexia, visual processing, like all these different skills that were like related to strategies I knew, but weren't exactly what I was doing at that moment, you say yes to as many opportunities as you can. And in doing that, you really figure out what you're great at and what you're not. And when I was working for myself in my education business, I was constantly doubting myself, constantly like, am I doing a good job? Am I failing these kids? And yeah, I had a really hard time with moving forward with that. And the things that I did, and it happens here at the Sisters Enchanted too, more so not doubting with the Sisters Enchanted, it isn't really wondering if I should keep going or move forward. It's kind of doubting with us in the beginning, when I was just breaking even, I would think to myself, you know, is this time well spent? Because for about 6 months, I did not make any money, and I was up all night long, and I was pregnant and having like a lot of pains and bleeding and stuff. And I had a little girl who was like still breastfeeding, and I was still tutoring. It was absolutely exhausting. And I really just would not recommend it. But I really was like, oh my goodness, why am I doing this? I can just tutor. I don't need to do this. You know, people aren't buying. Enough people aren't buying. I don't think I'm doing the right thing. I'm just breaking even. This seems really hard. I'm not getting it figured out. And I was taking everything personally, every piece of like criticism that came my way. So yeah, I've totally had those moments where I doubted my business. Now, as we're growing, we're in this like growing pains place where we have grown significantly, but to continue to grow, I can't manage it on my own. And I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to structure the business so that like it's moving forward without us moving backward in the interim. We're on a very like tilted ship right now. And I have these doubts and fears all the time. I think that if you have a reason why you're doing it and you have that goal and plan in place, it really helps you to keep moving forward. So for me, when I was starting the Sisters Enchanted, I would look at, okay, well, I know for a fact that I can do this without losing money. So what are the numbers showing me, and how can I do this now and make money? And I set a plan for that. So I could always see the plan. And I'm doing the same thing now, where I'm having big hesitations around spending big, significant chunks of money. But I see the plan, and I know that I have the proof that the plan should work. Like the plan should work. I have proven it. And so I need to let that fear go. With my education business, I would also, anytime I doubted my ability to perform, I would look at my experience to date. And I actually gave somebody this feedback recently. Keep like a little file, like little notes of yourself somewhere, like either on your computer or near your desk or wherever, of like awesome things people have said about you to help you amp yourself up when you start to really freak out. And you're like, I don't think I can do this. It's not working. Nobody likes me. to remind yourself I don't suck. And so with my education business, I found myself having to like think about all the reasons I didn't suck a lot because I'd get so nervous meeting with new clients. Like I'd sweat, I'd drink water the whole time because I couldn't focus on what to say. So I was always doubting myself. So it's totally a thing that happens. Aaron says, current mood, perfectionism, not good enough. I have 2 businesses I've neglected for a while. Yeah, Aaron, you totally just have to be consistent, stop neglecting them. And then I don't know what your 2 businesses exactly are, but if you could pick one of them to start being really consistent with, that would probably, that's going to be, that would be a good place to jump back in. But yeah, you got to let perfectionism go. I'd love to give the example of the Sisters Enchanted, and in the beginning, how most of my live streams and things were done with either a baby on my shoulder or like a toddler and a baby or somebody screaming or like pure chaos. And do I recommend that? Like, no, I'm not telling you to just haphazard run a business at all, but I am telling you that doing something and doing something consistently is way better than doing nothing. Way better, like 100 times better than doing nothing. If you're waiting for the right moment, the right backdrop, the right lighting, the right situation, if you're like, oh, I can't ever make a video about my physical products because there's always like the dog barking or whatever. I don't know, do it in your car. I've done that. And it's not exactly what you want to do, right? Like I'm not advocating for that. But I am advocating for doing anything. Anything is better than doing nothing, even if it's crazy or ridiculous. I know one time after my son was born, there was a live stream of me with like my hair was all messy, like up, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, oh no, I didn't do this thing I had to do. He was asleep in my lap. He must have been like 3 weeks old. And the whole video, I'm like whispering like this because I didn't want to wake him up and I didn't want to wake my daughter up. And it was so late at night. And afterwards I was like, what are you doing, Sarah? And then I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I am making it so that my husband can stop working, so that I don't have to tutor anymore. That's what I'm doing. And I just focused on those end results. So when you're doubting yourself or you're feeling not perfect, focus on why you're doing it, what the end is going to be, and you can always do better in the future. Karen says, I'm starting exactly at the same as you did. DIY website, no email list, no clue what I'm doing. Yeah, doing something every day is better than waiting until it's all up and running and perfect. And I will say that anybody who's watching here, I know there's only a few of you today. Let me just look at the list of people. So I know some of you do work for yourselves already. Some of you are looking to expand working for yourselves. And some of you are side gig working for yourselves from the few of you that are here that I can see and that I know about. I will say that if you are wanting to start a business now and you're seeing these online-based businesses and things like that, get on it. Social media marketing is getting harder. I don't want to say harder. It's getting more and more challenging to dance around every single day. Facebook, good old Facebook, who owns Facebook and Instagram, is making it, it's just like wall after wall after wall they're throwing up to online marketers, which is all things that they're all figure outable, they're all get pastable, but it is every day getting a little more challenging. So if you've been waiting or you're like, maybe in like next summer or whatever, don't do that. Like start now. You'll be glad that you did. Cheyenne, stay-at-home mom and needs a life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So start a business. It's totally doable. I will say that as a person who is I spend more time stay-at-home momming than I do working. And I definitely struggle with the piece of having actual like real life relationships because I'm either with my kids or I'm on the internet. So that is, keep that in mind. Nikki, hi Nikki. My biggest issue is feeling that everything has been done already. I'm trying to find a way to stand out. Oh, so I love that you bring that up, Nikki. So everything has been done already. Like, everything has been done. That's actually a thing. There's like all this research around it that everything has been done. And I think that what makes you stand out is just you. So with the Sisters Enchanted, I bet that, a lot of you watching can probably ramble off the names of like at least 10 other sort of witch-centered mentor business owner people that you may have come across, or you also have, been in their communities or whatever. But there's always something that makes you stand out above, that makes somebody stand out against somebody else. There's something unique about you. And so I think that rather than trying to find a way to stand out, I think that just being you in what you deliver is the thing that makes you stand out. One of my Society of Business Witchery people, everybody gets a one-on-one chat with me each quarter, unless there's an option to have like a monthly one-on-one chat with me for an hour where we, talk every month. But everybody who's just in at the regular, like Society of Business Witchery student, every quarter, so 4 times a year, gets a one-on-one chat with me. And I was having one with somebody recently, and she said something about how she was being not rude or anything, but she was like, you just make it seem so genuine, like when you're online. I was like, because it is genuine. Like if I could be a bajillionaire and just like fly everybody to like big conference room centers and give everybody tacos and like make spell candles, and just, I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I'm not independently wealthy, so I can't do that. But I think that like you being uniquely you and what you love to do and what you're passionate and energetic about, like that is the thing that makes you stand out above other people, because like that would totally be my thing. And like that is constantly like when I see people online, I just want to invite people to stuff. I just want to be like, oh my gosh, you would love our holistic witchery class. You would love coming to Salem. And I just want to be like, just come do it. And then I have to remember, like, Sarah, it costs you money to do all these things. Like you can't just do that. So like whatever. So Nikki, yeah, like whatever makes you unique, and that can come out in your branding too. So Nikki, like knowing you in person now, you have that whole like horror sort of punk thing going on too. So like your branding could have that in your branding, which like it's you, and that's what would attract people that you want to work with to you too. Because like you probably don't want to work with like tons of, I would imagine, like really like fuddy-duddy, boring people that have like 8,000 questions a day, right, to like go back and forth with. So that's not who you would want. Like you'd probably want to work with, I don't know, fun business owners or like fun groups of people that need things done for them, like performance centers and stuff like that. So like that through your branding and you being unique will filter out who you don't want to work with. So yeah, I wouldn't stress too much, Nikki, about making yourself unique. Make your branding unique to you. Make your packages unique to you. Like the package names could be fun. And that is all you need to do. Like your service in and of itself doesn't necessarily need to be like super unique. You are the unique thing. So Linda, I'd love to pick my brain about the tutoring you did. Yeah, it was good. I will say, Linda, that I got students through, like getting my first 5 students was really key. And those came through, most of them came through a newspaper article that was written in the local paper about the business, like that it was a new business and whatever. And that generated, before that, it was like really slow going. That generated the first 5 students. And then those 5 students, I just did a really awesome job and like gave them a no-brainer sign-up price. And those 5 students, word of mouth, generated pretty much every student after that. So like, yeah, find a way to get in front of your local community. And libraries, if you've got a good library community, doing free chats for parents there, like parent chats, or at schools, doing a free chat like on like for elementary schools or something, like free strategies for your ADHD 4th grader, and then have your brochures and things like that. And that would be like the key. So my unique thing there was working with kids with learning differences though. So if you just wanted like help with your history paper, like that wasn't really my jam. My jam was teaching kids how to learn who struggled with learning. So Nicole says, Oh, Nicole, it does show people. So what happens is if other people's comments aren't set to all panelists, then they can't see, then you can't see them. But everybody's looks like they are set to all panelists, Nicole. So you might only be seeing your comments. I don't know why you would only be seeing yours, but everybody's looks set appropriately. Sometimes people will like only write to me, but everybody's is the way it's supposed to be. Cheyenne's getting excited with so many ideas. Yeah, pick one and roll the one and stick to it. So Linda's planning to start something with tutoring and coaching students with ASD and tutoring families on how to support the child at home. Yeah, you can totally. And I found a lot of students, Linda, who were out of school because they were either, that's weird that you guys aren't, that's why. Linda's is all panelists and attendees. You guys don't have it set to attendees. That's why. I'm the panelist. That's why you guys can't see them. You got to switch your to all panelists and attendees. Linda just fixed hers and it's correct. Anyway, I'm reading them all, so you guys aren't missing any of them. I'm reading all of them too. So Linda, yeah, I found a lot of students that were like more high functioning and were out of school for sensory things or behavior kind of explosions in school that were like just, got them out of school, and kids that wanted to go back to school. So that was like a big part, was writing them specific curriculum, homeschool curriculum that would keep them up to date, but also teach them the skills and strategies to be successful in the classroom. That was the biggest chunk of income for me. So Cheyenne makes bracelets, chakra bracelets, and essential oils in your spare time just for fun, and have a couple people who buy them occasionally. I love it. Yeah. And bear in mind that physical products, there's a huge market for physical products, obviously, but you can only sell as much as you can make. So if you really are like, all right, I want to have this as my job, you have to think kind of long-term, like what's one thing that you can make a lot of, either yourself at one time or something you can pay somebody to help you make, and then you can sell a lot at one time. You know what I mean? There you go. Yeah, so Linda says exactly what I want to do too. Yeah, that was my most, and where I lived, it was, I had one student who I worked with full time, like Monday, 5 days a week for 4 hours each day. And, it was a lot of money, but they got custom curriculum from me. So yeah, definitely price your worth there. Such a gap between home and school for sure. Yeah. So there you go, guys. Lots of things. You guys have some cool ideas. And so so all of you watching though, you need to start before you're ready. Like Linda, just start. Like you need to get clients first and then say yes. If people say, do you know how to do this thing? Be like, yes, I do. And then go home and figure it out. And Nikki, same thing, and everybody, break up with Netflix, create space to make it happen. Like whatever you're doing to waste your time, if you really are like, no, I really need this, schedule it in and don't do it until after you've worked on building your business that day. And if you are a service provider and you do services for people or even physical products, like whatever you are, getting in front of people and adding people to your potential, like your email list, your customer list, that's always going to be the number one thing that you do, above and beyond creating the website, things like that. And then the third thing is make your plan. So sit down and think about what you offer, and how much it costs and how many people you're going to need, and then multiply that by a lot. So if you are a service provider, or if you're an online service provider, only about 2% of the people that see your things are going to purchase from you. And that's if you're physical goods online too. So if you want to sell 2 chakra bracelets, Cheyenne, you need like 100 people to see them, typically speaking. The more they know you, the more likely they are to buy. And so that gap shortens, right, and narrows. But if they don't know you, it's a very wide gap between how many people see you to how many people buy. So always getting out there, talking to people, and getting in front of people is really, 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 really important. So Cheyenne's son has a lot of developmental delays. Yeah, I know how my daughter has some mishmash of Asperger's, sensory processing disorder, ADHD, social anxiety, possible selective mutism, some like blend of that my daughter has. And she'll be 5 on Saturday. So my previous job actually set me up very well to be her mom. But I do know how challenging it can be to parent a different sort of child. But we're the best parents for our kids, right? That's what I tell myself anyway. So Linda's waiting until the moon in retrograde and eclipse pass August 1st. Yes, selective mutism. Yeah, my daughter just won't talk to her peers. She just freezes up, turns bright red. It's like, okay, so she's not going to talk to you. You could like just try to stop interacting with her. That'd be great. Hard to explain to other 4-year-olds. Anywho, okay, guys, cool. So keep on your time tracking challenge if you're doing it. If not, get started with it. And I will send out an email later that like over the weekend with how to submit this. And then on Sunday, we're going to have another one of these. We're going to talk about things that you can do right now to start making progress and moving forward in your business. That's at noon on Sunday, noon Eastern time, so the same time. And if you have any interest in joining us in the Society of Business Witchery, I'll show you a picture here. I would love to have anybody who wants to join us. I'm getting our room. There is an option to go on this live retreat option in Florida in November. And we are staying right there by that very beach. You can walk to the beach, and I'm going to take you to my favorite restaurant, which is the one with the trees growing out of it. And yeah, lots of cool lessons and things. My friend Natalie is talking to us in August on building a brand as a guest in the Society of Business Witchery. This month, we actually changed up the list. This month, we were going to do visibility, but because so many people are working on launching products and Facebook ads and things, I actually walked them through planning for selling, planning a launch, Facebook ads, and then debriefing. Once you sell your thing, how do you know if it was good or not? That was the theme for this month. So yeah, if you want to join us, you can. And you can also find on the sales page, which I emailed out to you, a link to book in like a 20-30 minute chat to see if it's a good fit for you or not too. So if you want to do, and that's free. So if you want to do that, you can find the link on the society page. Yeah, Cheyenne, your holistic witchery, it gets on with that. Okay, cool guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on Sunday at noon. And if you come up with any questions between now and then, bring them, because I love to answer and brainstorm. It's like I could spend all day doing that. It's another thing I wish I could do, just get everybody together with like coffee and treats, and I could just help you come up with ideas and plan it out, because it's like it's like I can just do it for hours. Cool. Have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Okay, bye.